A starlet on top of the world, a fateful night in Paris, and a deadly mistake, Olive Thomas's tragic end was one of the most shocking scandals of silent film. She had it all, beauty, fame, and luxury, until one wrong move turned her life into a haunting mystery that once shook Hollywood to its core, now barely remembered. In 1920, what was supposed to be a glamorous vacation in Paris took a tragic turn. Late one night, Olive accidentally ingested mercury bichloride, a highly toxic chemical used by her husband to treat syphilis. The result? A fatal poisoning that sent Hollywood into a frenzy. In 1921, Roscoe "Fatty" Arbuckle was at the height of his career, beloved for his comedic charm and larger-than-life personality. But one fateful party in San Francisco changed everything. Virginia Rappe, a young actress, fell ill at Arbuckle's suite and later died from a ruptured bladder. Rumors quickly circulated that Arbuckle may have been involved in an incident that contributed to her passing. The scandal made headlines across the nation, with public outcry painting Arbuckle as Hollywood's villain. Almost at the same time, acclaimed director William Desmond Taylor was found dead in his Hollywood bungalow, shot in the back. The case was scandalous from the start. Taylor was romantically linked to some of Hollywood's brightest stars, including Mabel Normand and Mary Miles Minter. Rumors spread that his death was a crime of passion, or perhaps even tied to Hollywood's underworld connections. Despite numerous theories, including accusations against lovers, jealous rivals, and mobsters, the case remains unsolved. But this one is mentally heartbreaking. Frances Farmer was one of Hollywood's brightest rising stars in the 1930s, known for her raw talent and rebellious spirit, but behind her beauty and poise lay a tortured soul battling personal demons. After a series of public outbursts and run-ins with the law, Farmer was institutionalized in 1943, where she endured brutal treatments that were whispered to be shockingly inhumane. Stories emerged claiming she had undergone lobotomies and endured abuse at the mental institution, a scandal that cast a grim light on Hollywood's treatment of stars with mental health struggles. Wallace Reed, for instance, was the epitome of a leading man, handsome, charming, and a huge box office draw, but what audiences didn't see was the personal hell Reed was living behind the scenes. After a train accident during filming, doctors prescribed him morphine to manage his pain, a decision that would lead to an addiction he could never escape. As his health rapidly deteriorated, Reed's private battle became public knowledge. His death at just 31 years old shocked fans and forced Hollywood to take a long, hard look at the pressure cooker it had created for its stars. Was this the price of fame? Thelma Todd, the known as the Ice Cream Blonde, was another Hollywood darling, beloved for her comedic talent and quick wit. But in December 1935, she was found slumped over the steering wheel of her car in the garage of her cafe, and the cause of death? Carbon monoxide poisoning. Now, this wasn't just another tragic accident. The circumstances surrounding Todd's death immediately raised eyebrows. Was it an accident? An intentional self-harm? Or something much more sinister lurking in the shadows? Todd had ties to some pretty shady underworld figures, and rumors of mob involvement spread like wildfire. The public couldn't get enough, with theories ranging from murder to an elaborate cover-up. Despite several investigations, nothing was ever definitively proven, leaving Todd's death a chilling, unsolved mystery. That same dangerous allure surrounded Jean Harlow, the blonde bombshell of Hollywood's golden age, whose life was filled with beauty, fame, and tragedy in equal measure. Everything about her screamed success, but in 1932, her personal life took a devastating hit. Just 2 months after their wedding, her husband, MGM executive Paul Byrne, was found dead in their home with a gunshot wound to the head. The official word? Fatal self-injury. But Hollywood wasn't buying it. The rumor mill kicked into high gear, with whispers of foul play swirling around Harlow's picture-perfect life. Some speculated that Byrne's ex-lover, who had a history of mental instability, could have been involved. Others hinted at mob connections, especially given Harlow's proximity to some unsavory characters. MGM, desperate to protect its golden star, quickly labeled Byrne's death a tragic meltdown to prevent the scandal from damaging her career. Few stories illustrate this harsh reality better than that of Peg Entwistle, whose tragic leap became one of Hollywood's earliest and most devastating reminders of how fame can be as elusive as it is destructive. Peg, a struggling actress with dreams of making it big, became famous not for her acting but for her heartbreaking death. On a fateful night in 1932, after facing career setbacks and disappointment, Peg climbed to the top of the Hollywood sign, yes, the Hollywood sign, and leapt to her death. Her body was discovered 2 days later, along with a personal note that told of her despair. Peg's death quickly became a symbol of the crushing pressure of chasing dreams in Tinseltown, where the lights may shine bright but the shadows are equally deep. On the other hand, Lupe Velez, known as the Mexican Spitfire, was one of Hollywood's first Latina stars, known for her fiery personality and bold performances. But her tragic end in 1944 shocked Hollywood. Heartbroken after a failed relationship with actor Harold Maresh, Velez took her own life in her Beverly Hills home. But rumors quickly circulated, suggesting something darker. Some claimed that Velez discovered she was pregnant and, distraught over her lover's unwillingness to marry her, made a fatal choice. Now, speaking of heartbreak, Lana Turner's love life turned deadly in a scandal that rocked Hollywood to its core. She was the epitome of Hollywood glamour, but her personal life took a deadly turn in 1958. Her lover, Johnny Stompanato, wasn't just any man. He was a known mobster with a violent streak. The relationship between Turner and Stompanato was tumultuous, to say the least, and things came to a head one night in Turner's home. During a heated argument, Turner's teenage daughter, Cheryl Crane, did the unthinkable. Grabbing a knife, she fatally stabbed Stompanato, claiming she was protecting her mother from his violent rage. But when it comes to unsolved mysteries, few compare to the death of George Reeves, America's first Superman, who brought the iconic hero to life on television screens across the nation. But in 1959, his real-life story took a dark and tragic turn. Reeves was found dead in his home from a gunshot wound to the head, and while the official ruling was self-inflicted death, not everyone was convinced. Suspicion immediately surrounded his death. Had Reeves really taken his own life, or was there something more sinister at play? Speaking of Hollywood stars hiding things behind the scenes, Rock Hudson was carrying a secret that could have ended his career long before his final role. He was Hollywood's dream man, handsome, charming, and the leading man in countless romantic films. But in the 1960s, being openly gay was not just taboo in Hollywood, it was career demise. So, with the help of studio executives, Hudson carefully maintained a public image that included sham relationships with women to keep his status as a heartthrob intact. It wasn't until Hudson's death in 1985 from immunodeficiency-related complications that the world learned the truth about his sexuality. Sadly, he wasn't the only promising star whose life was tragically cut short. Sal Mineo, the young star who stood out alongside James Dean in Rebel Without a Cause, had a bright future in Hollywood. But in 1976, his life was brutally cut short. Mineo was stabbed to death outside his West Hollywood apartment in what seemed like a random, senseless attack. Hollywood was left stunned. Who would want to kill such a promising actor? And why? For years, no one had answers. The case went unsolved, and speculation ran wild. Was it a robbery gone wrong, or something more personal? It wasn't until much later that a petty criminal was arrested and convicted. But even with a conviction, the feeling of injustice surrounding Mineo's death lingers to this day. Yet Hollywood's dark side isn't limited to shocking crimes. Sometimes it's about the mysterious circumstances that leave more questions than answers. Natalie Wood's death remains one of Hollywood's most enduring mysteries, still keeping everyone guessing decades later. While on a yacht trip with her husband, Robert Wagner, and actor Christopher Walken, Wood drowned under circumstances that can only be described as suspicious. Catalina Island may have been the backdrop, but the drama that unfolded has left people wondering ever since. Was it an accident, or did something much darker happen that night? Wood's well-known fear of water only added fuel to the fire. How could someone so terrified of the ocean end up in it? Rumors of a heated argument between Wagner and Walken swirled, keeping the case alive in the public's mind. Though officially ruled an accident, whispers of foul play have lingered for years. New investigations have been launched, but to this day, no one knows for sure what happened that night on the water. One thing's certain: Natalie Wood's death haunts Hollywood, and the mystery just keeps growing. But hers wasn't the only star to face an unexpected and career-threatening scandal. Vanessa Williams' rise to fame came with its own shocking twist, one that almost derailed her career before it truly began. She was the picture of success in 1983, making history as the first black woman to win the Miss America crown. But just 1 year later, her reign came to a shocking halt. Unauthorized nude photos of Williams, taken before she became Miss America, were published in Penthouse magazine, igniting a scandal that rocked the pageant world and beyond. The public's reaction was swift and brutal, and under immense pressure, Williams resigned from her title. But Vanessa Williams wasn't about to let one scandal define her. Instead of fading into the background, she fought her way back to the top. Williams rebuilt her career, becoming a hugely successful singer and actress, earning Grammy and Tony nominations along the way. Yet, not every star was able to recover from their fall. In the late 1980s, Milli Vanilli seemed unstoppable, winning a Grammy and topping the charts, until a shocking revelation changed everything. Their infectious hits had taken over the charts, and they even snagged a Grammy Award for Best New Artist. But in 1989, their rise to fame came crashing down in a scandal that rocked the entire music industry. Turns out Fab Morvan and Rob Pilatus hadn't sung a single note on their album. The voices that the world loved belonged to session singers. The truth came out during a live performance when a backing track malfunction revealed that the duo had been lip-syncing all along. The fallout was immediate and harsh. Milli Vanilli were stripped of their Grammy, and their credibility evaporated overnight. While the pair attempted a comeback with their real voices, they never managed to recapture their former success. From stolen crowns to stolen voices, Hollywood has seen its fair share of shocking scandals. But some stories are stranger than fiction, and the rumor surrounding Richard Gere in the late 1980s is one of Hollywood's most bizarre urban legends. Somehow, a bizarre story claiming that Gere was hospitalized for an unusual medical emergency involving a gerbil made its way into the tabloids, and it spread like wildfire. Despite being completely fabricated, the rumor took on a life of its own, becoming one of Hollywood's most notorious myths. The odd part? Gere never addressed the rumor publicly, and it didn't seem to affect his career. But that didn't stop the gossip from flying off the shelves, cementing his place in Hollywood folklore. It's a perfect example of how a baseless story can snowball in the world of celebrity, where fact and fiction often blur. Even today, the gerbil story is still talked about as one of Hollywood's strangest pieces of tabloid fodder. While some rumors stretch the limits of belief, Hollywood faced a far more real and awkward scandal when Hugh Grant, the quintessential British heartthrob of the 1990s, found himself at the center of a very public controversy. His charm and wit won audiences over in romantic comedies like Four Weddings and a Funeral. But in 1995, his squeaky clean image took a serious nosedive. Grant was arrested in Los Angeles for soliciting an escort, and the news hit like a bombshell just as he was promoting his latest film. Talk about bad timing. The media swarmed the scandal, and Grant's face was plastered on every tabloid, turning what could have been a private embarrassment into an international spectacle. But what made this scandal unique was how Grant handled it. Rather than dodging the press, he went on The Tonight Show with Jay Leno and publicly apologized. His honesty and humility softened the blow, and while his reputation took a hit, his career ultimately survived. Just when Hollywood thought it had seen it all, a new scandal emerged, and this time, it involved one of its golden girls. Winona Ryder, a 1990s star known for her roles in Edward Scissorhands and Reality Bites, found herself making headlines for all the wrong reasons. But in 1999, Ryder shocked everyone when she was caught shoplifting from a high-end Beverly Hills department store. The public couldn't believe it. Why would a successful, wealthy actress need to steal? The media frenzy that followed was relentless, and every detail of Ryder's personal life was put under the microscope. During the trial, it was revealed that Ryder had been struggling with prescription abuse, but by then, the damage to her reputation was done. She was convicted of grand theft and vandalism, marking a steep fall from grace for the actress. While Ryder's career took a hit, she eventually made a triumphant comeback years later with her role in Stranger Things. Still, the shoplifting incident remains a major footnote in her career, showing just how quickly public perception can shift when a celebrity stumbles. Winona's case certainly grabbed headlines, but the entertainment industry had an even bigger scandal brewing, this time involving one of the world's most iconic figures. In 1993, Michael Jackson, the king of pop, saw his legacy take a dramatic hit that would follow him for the rest of his life. A young boy and his family accused Jackson of molestation, and the allegations sparked an immediate media frenzy. The world couldn't look away as the scandal unfolded, with every detail of Jackson's private life plastered across headlines. Jackson vehemently denied the accusations, but the case was ultimately settled out of court for a reported $23 million. The settlement didn't end the speculation, though. It only fueled it. Was Jackson innocent? Or had he used his fortune to make the problem go away? The public was left divided, and the once beloved pop star found himself at the center of one of Hollywood's most troubling controversies. Although the allegations resurfaced later in his career, this 1993 case marked the beginning of a saga that would follow Jackson for the rest of his life. Michael Jackson's scandal left a complicated legacy, but it wasn't the only one to shake Hollywood to its core. Woody Allen's relationship with Soon-Yi Previn in 1992 became the kind of controversy that turned his personal life into the stuff of Hollywood legend. The world was shocked when news broke that Allen, then in a long-term relationship with actress Mia Farrow, was romantically involved with Soon-Yi Previn, Farrow's adopted daughter. The scandal exploded when Farrow accused Allen of taking advantage of her daughter, turning what had been a private family matter into a very public spectacle. The tabloids feasted on the details, and Allen quickly became one of the most polarizing figures in Hollywood. The relationship not only rocked Allen's personal life, but also forever altered how he was viewed as an artist. Despite the scandal, Allen and Soon-Yi eventually married, but the damage was done. The incident remains a dark chapter. Woody Allen's controversy left Hollywood divided, but another story soon eclipsed it in terms of sheer heartbreak. Britney Spears, the pop princess of the 2000s, saw her life unravel in 2007 as the intense pressures of fame took a devastating toll. The world watched as her personal life unraveled in real time. From custody battles to relentless media scrutiny, Spears was hounded by the press at every turn. Then came the moment that would be seared into pop culture forever. Spears, in the midst of a mental health crisis, shaved her head and attacked a paparazzi's car with an umbrella. It was a cry for help, but the media turned it into a spectacle. Tabloids devoured every misstep, but what few people realized at the time was how deeply Spears was struggling. Soon after, she lost custody of her children and was placed under a conservatorship that controlled her finances and personal life for over a decade. The Free Britney movement would later shine a light on her fight for freedom, showing the world just how damaging fame can be when exploited. Around the same time, Mel Gibson was riding high on a career packed with blockbuster hits like Lethal Weapon and Braveheart, until one scandal nearly destroyed it all. But in 2006, it all came crashing down in the span of one drunken night. After being pulled over for drunk driving, Gibson launched into a vile, racist, and anti-Semitic tirade directed at the arresting officers. The incident was caught on tape and leaked to the press, and the world watched in shock as one of Hollywood's biggest stars went from hero to pariah almost overnight. The backlash was swift and brutal. Hollywood distanced itself from Gibson, and his career took a nosedive. Though he later apologized and sought treatment for his alcoholism, the damage was done. It wasn't until years later that he slowly began to make his way back into the industry. Mel Gibson's dramatic fall from grace was shocking, but Lindsay Lohan's descent from stardom played out like a slow-motion train wreck. Once one of Hollywood's brightest young stars, she seemed to transition effortlessly from child actor to leading lady, until her personal struggles took center stage. But by 2010, her promising career had been derailed by a series of arrests. The charges? DUI, drug possession, and violating probation. Lohan's personal struggles became tabloid gold, and the media documented every arrest, every rehab stint, and every court appearance with relentless coverage. At one point, it seemed like Lohan's wild partying lifestyle was all anyone could talk about. Her acting career, which had once seemed so full of potential, was completely overshadowed by her legal troubles. Despite several attempts at a comeback, Lohan could never quite escape the shadow of her past. Lohan's struggles may have been intense, but they pale in comparison to the unsettling controversy that rocked Hollywood in 2021. Armie Hammer's downfall sent shockwaves through the industry, revealing a scandal unlike anything Hollywood had ever seen. The actor, known for roles in films like The Social Network and Call Me by Your Name, found himself at the center of a controversy after a series of leaked DMs revealed disturbing allegations. The messages, shared by several of Hammer's former partners, accused him of abusive behavior and even expressed fantasies of cannibalism. The revelations shocked both Hollywood and the public, and Hammer's career came to a screeching halt. Film projects were canceled, his agency dropped him, and Hammer became a pariah almost overnight. While he denied the accusations, the damage was done. Hammer's sudden fall from grace shows how quickly a public figure's reputation can crumble in the age of social media, where private misdeeds can be made public in an instant. It was a scandal unlike anything Hollywood had seen before, leaving an unsettling mark on the industry.